again, episode 2, and how are you feeling about it, Tim? Thank you so much, Tim. That was terrible. Yeah, there we go. Good job, Tim. Good job.
Yep, that kind of is how I feel.
Yeah, thinking about this
This movie
this next movie. Well,
could have been better.
it could have been better. It definitely could have been better.
It could have been worse.
It's hard.
It's hard. It could have been worse.
But it could have been worse. I don't know.
The ideas were fine. The execution was terrible.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah,
Agreed.
Hi, Tim. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Had a big old bowl of macaroni and cheese, and I'm pretty stoked. Hopefully my throat doesn't sound all dairy-induced like it's all phlegmy. Phlegm! But whatever. Tim, where are we sitting today? Last time we were on a table. Where are we sitting at now?
Now we're on a comfy couch.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully it's... We're going to see what happens, so...
Yep.
But, yeah, well... Hi, everyone, and welcome to Hear Me Out Pitch. That took a way long to introduce, but... Yeah, here we are, once again, episode 2. Hopefully we didn't scare the whole 9 of you who've recorded or downloaded it, so... Sweet babies, sweet babies. Anything we gotta touch up upon? Anything that needed to be said before?
No, I mean, again, like last episode, if you get offended by what we say, we're sorry. That's not our goal. This is our opinions. This is our pitch. This is what we think the movie should have been. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Absolutely. And again, with that last episode, we did a little bit of review talk, and this time we're going to try really hard to just be more of pitching, because once again, the show is called Hear Me Out Pitch, not Hear Me Out Review. So,
yep.
Well, Tim, you're this week's going to be kind of a special one, possibly a two-parter. We'll see what happens with your conversation. But Tim, what are we watching and talking about today?
We are watching the infamously terrible Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh! You know, I watched that on my birthday last year.
Oof,
and
terrible
I just
birthday
was like,
present.
you know what? Because the thing is, I was excited for this movie. Because I thought
Same.
Ragnarok was wonderful. Loved it.
Ragnarok was
Ragnarok. But just this movie... You know, really quick, before we get into that, just tiny little things I want to say about the movie was...
Mm-hmm.
This movie, we had Love and Thunder. I mean, not Love and Thunder, sorry. We had Ragnarok, which was funny, but yet think of how serious it was in the end. We lost everyone he loved. We lost Asgard. He lost his eye, lost his hair, which was the worst part, lost his hammer. Like, so much loss. Odin died. Did I already say that? I probably already did.
Dad died, hammer broke.
Hammer broke. Like,
That's another big one.
it wasn't, like, at the end of the movie, I went, oh, this isn't happy ending. But the thing was, it was lighthearted and funny, but at the same time, I was like, this is hard to kind of sit through. And then you have the end credit scene of that movie with Thanos' ship, and then we go right into Endgame. So I think my biggest beef with this movie is that Endgame and Infinity War, beginning of Infinity War, we have the whole Asgardians are attacked, whatever. Anyway, but, you know, they set up we got a whole different look of Thor, a broken Thor. We got to see, and then in an Endgame, we did see him kind of fat, which I was a little...
I don't know how to feel about that. Like, it's funny, and it shows an interesting side of Thor, but I don't know.
But he was still tragic.
He was still Thor, and it was still... I don't know, it was serious and funny. They balanced that well.
So well, and so did Ragnarok. But this movie, how I say it is, Ragnarok was a comedy that had the end results of a tragedy, and then this movie is a comedy that, no joke, was just straight up a tragedy. It wasn't trying to be one. It just was one.
It wasn't a tragedy. It was a travesty.
It was a travesty.
It was just terrible.
It was awful, and they wasted Christian Bale and Russell Crowe.
They did. I will say the general idea of the story itself, I kind of enjoyed.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Last episode we talked about how continuity is key, right? This episode, I feel like our focus is going to be a lot more on funny is not always perfect.
It's just
funny is not always good. It's not always good. I think
keep your tone. Maybe that should be the point. Is like keep your tone. Like yeah, you're absolutely right. Last episode, I even called that in the title. Continuity is key.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I think the theme is decide what your tone is or what you want your audience to feel.
Stick to your genre.
Ugh.
That's the thing. Here's the thing, right? With the 80s, right? You imagine parties, having fun, right? Good rock and roll music, like good music, lightheartedness, you know? And I feel like this movie was too 80s and not, and pardon my inability to think of any other way to put this, it wasn't Great Depression enough. It wasn't as dark and serious as this movie should have been.
It should have been so like I was hoping we would get like what Thor Dark World wanted to be.
Bingo.
I needed like a good like
that's another movie we could cover.
Dark World? You know what the thing is? I like Dark World more than this one.
I agree.
But the thing is, can I name any of the villains? No, but I know his mom dies. Spoilers. And and also as always, spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie,
yes.
The thing is, you're not even going to get a review. We'll talk about the thing anyway.
But there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. Suffer through it. We did it. You should do it too.
And I know some people liked it.
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Good for you.
If you enjoyed it, generally or genuinely, good for you. Like that's awesome. I wish I could say the same.
I really wish I could. I was really excited for this movie because I was excited about Gore the God Butcher. I wanted to see Kratos because that's what Gore the God Butcher is. He's just
you know the Adele song where it goes, "If you're gonna let me down gently." This movie did not let me down gently.
It was fire, set fire to the rain, and it burned my face off. That's how bad it was. I was just like, watch it burn. And it's like, my face! So, yeah, it was...
Not water under the bridge.
It was not water under the bridge. No, it was just like...
Oh, man.
Who clogged that toilet? Like, it was...
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And for everyone, like, I think Willem and Tim are just ripping on this movie way too hard. I watched it last night. It may have been late, but I watched it.
I watched it 2 days ago.
I took notes. That's a notebook. I took little notes. And we're going to do better this time, especially because Tim... So, plan for this episode. Tim is going to lead, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm not going to do anything about my pitch today. Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
We'll see. So
I think your input might be nice.
And my input, I will put my input, but I will not add what I would have done. I'm just going to go, or I'll talk about what we saw in the movie or whatever. So we'll see what happens. But I will try not to do it. And if we do a part 2 of Love and Thunder, because this movie and Morbius were the 2 movies that I was like, this is the podcast. This is what I want to make the podcast now, because I walked out of this movie going, if you turn this into a college like writing course, I don't understand how it passed, because it breaks. If you're gonna write a story, please just it's fine. You know what? With that being said, this movie frustrates me. It was a disappointment. Just the worst part about my birthday, which I had a great birthday, but
pick your writing style.
Yes,
Stick to your writing style. Brandon Sanderson writes like Brandon Sanderson. He does not write
Like Stephen King.
like Stephen King.
Yes, you imagine? I would love to see him try to do like a horror. Be like, hey, Brandon, do one Stephen King. I would want to see what would happen.
Agree.
Because guess what? I think he can do it.
I know he can do it. It's freaking Brandon Sanderson.
This movie was a comedy, and if you're good at, and I looked at not Love and Thunder, gosh dang it, Ragnarok, and Ragnarok has good funny moments, good build up. Some of parts I was cringy, but for the most part, he had good write up. So why couldn't he execute that? Well, nope, there were a few scenes that I'm like, this is what the whole movie should have been. Anyway, with that being said, Tim, I'm gonna press play, and we're gonna put it on mute, and you just let us leave, let us go.
Cool. To begin, I think, and Willem, I hope you agree, this beginning scene where you get the introduction of Gore and the Necrosword and why he does what he does. Christian Bale's a fantastic actor. He does a perfect job. Perfect job. He was the perfect fit for this. This intro is perfect. I love seeing Gore suffer with his daughter, be just completely devastated when his daughter dies, right? As he's praying to this god.
That's, he's holding the emblem of this god, walking around a desert, and it was a good job, and he's holding her, and I love the beginning. I love it. Loved it.
This is the scene that should have set the tone for the whole movie, not the next scene.
The next scene was
terrible,
and that is
not terrible. It could have been better, but
no.
Let's focus on this scene first.
Okay.
I think it's great. I think maybe making it a little bit longer, giving us a little bit more of insight into maybe Gore himself after he becomes the God Butcher.
Like see him kill some other gods. Why didn't we see more of that?
We saw the aftermath. We saw him kill one god. The entire movie, and he's called the God Butcher. We've seen the aftermath.
Yeah.
But this is the only, this first scene is the only god he kills.
Which I was, again, when I was in the theater, I had already seen reviews, and I was like, okay, well, darn, it's getting 6s and 5s. It's not it's not Ragnarok, but okay, maybe it's just some people being picky. And the first scene happened, and I was like, when he's sitting there holding the Necrosword, and he goes, "This is my vow. All gods will die." I was like, yep, all right. Cuts his head off. I was like, this is awesome. And then the tone gets light. And it's like, I don't want to go. And it wasn't like it was like, oh, we went sort of light. It was like, we went all the way back to happy and charismatic. And I'm like,
we went from Great Depression to the 80s.
When you have a burn, you do not immediately put it in cold water.
Like run it underwater.
You run it underwater, and in frostbite too. If you are getting close to frostbite and you are close to that, you don't put your hand in hot water or in heat. You have to slowly bring it back to it. And I feel like we just kept getting that shock and everyone whoever was on swim team or has fallen into water or splash water. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly.
That shock. That shock isn't always good. And especially how powerful this beginning was, I was like, why did you take that away from us?
Yeah, I agree. This first scene, beautiful, perfect. Could have been a little bit longer, in my opinion. I think it was awesome, though. More of Christian Bale is always a good thing.
I wanted to hear the other gods screaming.
I agree.
I wanted to hear the other gods screaming, and then
I think seeing Gore go and kill a couple more gods And I'll get to that a little bit later. I have a particular idea that I think would be perfect for
and
this.
again, this is Tim's pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I thought it was because Gore hates the gods because gods are selfish, pretentious, and they don't care for the light for those beneath them. And if we look at the Greek pantheon, they did not care.
Nope.
And it's just, I think Gore has a point. I think a villain that has a point is a good villain.
Agreed. And I think that's exactly what we see here. This is a movie that has a beautiful villain, beautiful hero, terrible journey.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I think, and this is another thing that really, really, really irked me. Korg, love Korg. Korg is awesome. Don't have him narrate.
That's exactly how I feel.
Do not have Korg narrate.
I think, mate, never mind.
That was too. It's too lighthearted for this kind of movie. This is a movie about death.
About death.
About chasing death. And confronting death. Spoiler alert again. Jane Foster has freaking cancer.
And we make jokes.
She's gonna die.
Ugh.
She has cancer. She's gonna die. Why is this such a funny movie if that's the case? Right? Gore is killing people. The gods, the most powerful beings in the universe.
He, in a way, is a cancer.
He is a cancer. He has cancer too. The sword gives him cancer.
The sword is killing him. If the sword dies, he dies.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's gonna die anyway.
Yeah. It's just, oh.
It's Nightblood. It feeds on his essence to kill others.
Oh my god, yes. Are you ready to destroy evil?
Uh-huh. If you got that reference,
you're
awesome. Love you guys. Okay. Anyway, Korg introducing Thor, terrible. Get rid of it.
Oh.
I think after that initial scene where we see Korg.
So you want this scene in the beginning.
I want that first scene.
Okay.
I want it in the beginning.
Okay.
It is a perfect introduction into how the movie should be. After that, obviously, we can get our Marvel Studios introduction, you know, their branding. That's great. It's Marvel. It's the thing that we do. Next, no Korg. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
Korg is an awesome character.
Yeah. Okay.
He is. I'd rather have Korg than Jar Jar. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying.
What is you saying? You like Rockman more than Korg? You don't like Alien Elmo?
No.
What is Mr. saying? You saying you rather have Rockman than Elmo?
I think instead, I think they could stay on that planet. The general premise of the story, and I think the locations was fine. The execution was terrible. I think this scene where we get to see Thor, I think it should be him with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he is super mega depressed because he can't see Jane. Obviously, that's kind of already how it is. But I think he should be really, really depressed and not want to be a part of anything again because he misses Jane Foster, his one true love.
And he's lost everyone else.
He's lost everyone else. She's still alive.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
The one person he has, because at this point, all his family's dead. Asgard is dead.
Tony and Cap are both gone.
Uh-huh. Tony, Cap, Natasha.
And Clint probably wants to do his own thing, and he never was close to Clint.
Clint is hanging out with his family.
Yeah, and the Hulk is, I don't know, maybe he could visit Hulk, but he just...
his family is dead. His biological family and his found family with the Avengers. Now he has this new family with the Guardians, but the Guardians of the Galaxy are the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, they kind of do their own thing, and Thor just shouldn't, he's not in it, right? I think he should be sitting in the ship, looking at the ceiling of the ship, and memories of Jane going through his head, going through his mind the whole time. And we can see flashes of the first and second Thor, of Jane Foster. And we can see a few of the newer scenes where they're happy together, right?
Okay, him hopping on Stormbreaker like a
broom.
Like a broom. Like, what is
that was
this?
dumb.
Why is this and this whole scene with the drives me nuts. It drives me nuts.
Yep.
It's like, because someone, this is a random thing, but someone watched a video and someone pointed out that Marvel tried to be funny more after Guardians of the Galaxy, because James Gunn introduced this humor, and after them we kept getting these lame jokes, and that's why the second Guardians for me didn't hit so strong, because I was so fed up with all that humor. Like,
the first Guardians of the Galaxy was awesome.
It is.
They had a good balance. They had a really good balance of humor and the seriousness, right? This movie sucked at that.
It just...
There is the scene where King Yukon, this blue dude, comes to Thor and he's like, "Hey, we need help." He says their gods were murdered. He says their gods were murdered and their temple was taken over by these other creatures. I want to know more about the gods being murdered. Who murdered the gods? Was it Gore with the Necrosword? It's never explained. I think that should have been explained a little bit more.
Well, and it's just like gods being murdered. Gods being murdered. That's not something that should have made Thor go, wait, hold up. Because again, that's like, think of like gods who are in the Marvel Universe. We have Odin, we have Surtur, we have Hela. Like, those are like pretty big things. Like, those were like, those threats out there were the kind of threats that made Thanos go, ooh. Like, I saw a theory that he waited until Odin and Hela, Ego, and the Chosen One, the Ancient One, were all gone before he tried to get the Infinity Stones. Yeah. Because if he tried to do that with those, gigantic beasts around, he would have lost. He would have lost. Like, I don't think Odin and Ego would have been like, "Oh, it's a great idea." No, they would have been like, "Wait a minute, we want to do that." So, well, I don't think Odin would have. Hela probably, but
yeah, Odin would have been trying to preserve the peace. I think, and here, this is an idea that I had when I finished the movie. I think this scene here with Thor talking to King Yukon, Thor should go investigate. I don't think it should be an active battle. I think it should be King Yukon with his soldiers marched to meet Thor, because they heard that he was on world and they wanted someone powerful to help.
That should have been the big threat.
That should have been the thing. He goes, he investigates, and I think he should find Gore vanishing into darkness, having just killed the gods of this world.
And can I just say, like, a thing that nitpicked about this scene was they were like, "Oh, that temple, we love this temple." Thor from the first two Thor movies, that Thor would have respected that. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't have just been all like, "I'm going to destroy this temple."
Even Ragnarok.
Even Ragnarok, he probably would have like, he completely destroys this temple. You know who would have been better to destroy it? Korg. Gore. No, Korg. Korg did it. Hey guys, I'm going to destroy that temple over there. It'd be real nice. That was terrible. But yeah. But yeah, no, that makes way more sense to be like, hey, our gods are being killed. Excuse me, what? And they go, and
sorry?
that's...
Yeah.
They just keep dropping it, and it's like, serious tone, now we're gonna just have some humor. And it's like, no, I need the tone to be like, he gets interrupted in this, like, maybe, I don't know, just... Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
And I think it could pan into a, well, shoot, I should go back to Asgard and figure out who this guy is. I think he should not have seen the Necrosword at this point. I think it should be some mysterious being is killing gods. We don't know how. We don't know who he is.
So
but
does the audience know, or does...
No.
So...
Yes, the audience knows
because
of the first scene.
Okay.
But Thor will find that out later.
Okay.
I think...
Bless you.
I think this is what should have happened. Thor sees Gore disappear. That's it. Maybe sees his bald head turn into shadow.
Just little bald figure. Just
maybe
disappeared.
his eyes could be peering out and a wicked laugh. Right? Classic villain style, you know? And then it should have faded into the black. Thor saying, well, that's not good. I should go to Asgard and figure out what this is. Guardians of the Galaxy could have left by this point.
Because they were getting all those distress calls about all the other...
Bingo.
Like, Thor goes back and is like, oh, there's a problem going on. Like, did you guys see that? And it's like, well, Thor, we have a bigger issue. All these distress calls of all these people and all their deities. And I think, like, in the Marvel world, deities just mean it could be actual gods or it's just higher plane. Because technically the Asgardians, those are gods. They should be living longer than humans. So I have my own beef with New Asgard and the Asgardians.
I agree.
Ugh.
I'm gonna bring that up.
Oh, good.
In a bit. I gotta get through this.
Sorry.
After that whole thing, after we see Thor say that's not good, maybe instead of going to New Asgard, he can go talk to the Guardians and be like, hey, this is what just happened. Guardians can be like, yeah, we've got some distress calls. And pan over to Sif, right? And Thor's like, well, shoot, I know her. And then in the corner, there could be a little image of Jane Foster. And he doesn't see it, but we do, and we zoom in on it, onto her face, getting the CT scan. I think this bit with Jane where she has cancer and she is getting tested and all of this first bit with Jane is awesome. They executed this well because they kept the tone. I think this bit with Jane is awesome, and where she hears Mjolnir talk to her and beckon her. I think it's awesome. And then she can go to New Asgard, which is not a touristy place.
Okay, seriously.
There we go.
And look at that right there, New Asgard, and it's a tourist attraction. Why these people have, and it could be like an excuse of like, oh, we need to like rebuild because we've lost like so much. But again, they've lost
everything.
Everything.
They lost their home. They lost a freaking planet. Their home.
I mean, but it has been 5 years since that. But like, I really don't understand how.
I don't think they would have.
And the infinity cones? Are you kidding me?
And the amusement park and like, no, it should have been. It should have been New Asgard. They should have built it to be like the old Asgard.
They should have been kind of pretentious about letting people
letting people in.
In the comics, that's kind of how it was. Like, because Asgard gets destroyed, and it's just a big long story. But like, Asgard is literally like floating above this place in, I can't remember which part of the world it's in, but they're just chilling there, and the
Norway.
whole world is like, oh, do we like work with them? How does this work? They're a little stronger than us. They live longer. And, like, there's a cute love story between this country boy and this Asgardian girl. And, like, there's so much stuff. And it's like, Asgardians are not human. Like, they're a little different than us. Like, Thor's been on this earth for, what does he say in Infinity Wars? I've been fighting just a couple hundred years. Like, he's old. These Asgardians are old.
Thor is, like, 1,500 years old at this point.
Yeah, that's it. He's
right. Old.
He's old. Like, he's been around since... like
before man at this point,
some of these Asgardians are just old, and it's just this like joke, and they have the stupid acting play again. I hated it in the third movie, and they brought it back.
The third movie, it fit a little bit better.
Well, it did because it was
Loki.
It was Loki, like, oh, look at what I did.
I think New Asgard should have been a traditional Norwegian style village. Mom, if you're listening, love you. I know you're probably gonna smile at this. I'm half Norwegian.
What?
I know, like, I've seen, because it's it's my heritage. I've seen what the traditional Norwegian style villages should be, like Viking style, and obviously, like, we know what Vikings look like, we know what their villages looked like, the boats turned upside down. That's what this should have been. This should have been an ancient city made new.
Well, if I can argue, like, it's been, because we still had the blip, it's been 5 years,
right? And I think
we saw
new.
Yeah, but we saw Thor, like, how it looked in Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Why has it changed so drastically because Valkyrie became king? I really don't think Valkyrie would have been like, let's make it a tourist attraction. Like, I don't think she...
No. Here's the thing. Ugh. Valkyrie is the last Valkyrie.
Yeah.
All of her sisterhood were killed.
All of them.
Every single one of them.
The woman that she loved.
Gone. I think she would have been a little bit apprehensive to letting tourists come in.
I really think so too.
Maybe dignitaries and world leaders and stuff could come in and see, but I feel like there would be a lot more of a hesitancy to allowing people in. You know what I mean? I do like that. I think Jane Foster, I think she would introduce herself to Valkyrie. Valkyrie would be like, he hurt you too. Oh. And he'd be like, and then they could bond over that or something. Or I know all about how to deal with that idiot. Something like that. They could bond over that. She could show Jane Mjolnir, and Jane could explain to Valkyrie that I think I heard Mjolnir speaking to me. Is Mjolnir around? And Valkyrie could be like, yeah, actually, weird stuff's been happening with Mjolnir. Little blue sparks have been flying off of the shattered pieces every now and again. And it's got us boggled. And then Jane could walk up to it, and then we can get that little scene where Mjolnir's in the little glass bubble, and the lightning starts to crackle, and we can see the lightning, kind of the Flash style, cross her eyes,
Oh.
And then it could pan over to the next scene where Thor, maybe this could be, I haven't figured out everything because it's a workshopping thing, right? This pitch stuff.
We'll get better with it over time, folks.
But I think it could pan over to the Guardians are taking off. The goats need to go or need to be changed.
You don't like the goats?
No. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Sorry, one more time. That is seriously how they just interrupt this. Oh, just
They make such a serious movie not serious. I think a single scream from the goat at the very beginning could have been a funny way to introduce them. In traditional Norse mythology, Thor's goats speak, and
they don't just scream.
They speak. They have conversations with Thor. And Thor kills the goats, eats them, and then every single day that he does that, every single time he does that, the next day they're revived. They come back to life good as new. They should have stuck to that. Or some iteration of that.
Well, they did have the little pun of like, we can eat them for meat. They stopped, look at them meeting other people. Like, and there was, I don't know. I actually don't hate them. It's just after like 7 screams, that's when I get sick of them.
Yeah.
Because it was cool that they pulled the boat later on, because that's kind of...
I think that could have been fine. I think that could have been fine. The screaming was... It's annoying. I think one scream is enough to get the point across that they're goats. You know? I also think this dragged out goodbye
Dude,
is
I fast forward all
too
this.
much.
I fast forward all this.
The real Thor, I don't think he would have gotten to that point.
You know, after watching Guardians 3, watching this scene, I'm like, I'm glad he didn't do nothing with them, because they was seriously just them going, okay, bye, and then just dipped. So.
Yeah, agreed. I think they're the Guardians of the Galaxy. They cover the galaxy, right? They protect everybody in the galaxy. Thor is Thor. He does his own thing. I think the Guardians leave. I do like that Stormbreaker, he's able to take everybody home with Stormbreaker. They go to New Asgard. And I think after they transport, it can pan back over to Gore, opening his eyes and being like, the key. And then pan back to him, to Thor, going to meet Sif. Right? In the same way they did. I think this could have been another scene where Thor just misses Gore. The shadows are retreating as Thor comes in. And the Sif scene... Here's the thing. Lady Sif in mythology is also a god.
She is the wife of Thor.
She is... Yes.
She is, like, amazing. And for them to... The last time we've seen Sif in the Marvel Universe was the one scene in Loki where he has, like, this little hell, and the TVA have put him in this repeated loop of Sif just disappointed, blah, 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 blah. Like, Sif didn't take any guff, and she's the only one that didn't die. And so, like, we didn't get any hint of that from this scene, which bugged me so much, because, like, Sif lost all her friends. She lost everything, too. What has she been doing? Oh, no, she just has her arm cut off, and she's just like, I want to go to Valhalla. I
want to die.
I want to die.
You know, it's ASDF the muffin. Why won't you let me die?
Why won't you let me die? Like,
you know,
Thor, a man that, honestly, let's be honest, Sif loved Thor. She probably still does, but he chose Immortal over her. And it's like, for her to just wake up and see, and for her to be all like talking into some technological device, like, Thor, where are you? Like, it just, it could have been done way better.
Agreed.
Could have been done way better.
I agree.
Ugh.
I think that scene, I think Thor should be taking, should find her unconscious, but alive, breathing, barely, and be like, we've got to get home now.
Because, like,
takes her home.
This is her last. This is one of his last friend of the.
This is his last friend, childhood friend. This is his final childhood friend, right? And I think he should take her home. I think for this pitch, she needs to be unconscious, barely breathing. Thor starting to panic a little bit. Be like, okay, home. Stormbreaker, take us home. They come home, and I think the scene with the shadow creatures is cool. I think the idea where they hint every now and again with the children in the windows, watching in the windows, or some of the children maybe being asleep, I think could be a great allusion to what's about to happen. Good foreshadowing.
And he's like a boogeyman. He's just the shadow. And the thing is, I think it makes your sense for what you're saying. If we have to rush, what bugs me, and I'm not going to say my pitch, but what bugs me is that wouldn't it make more sense for Thor to have appeared with Lady Sif, with the key? He appears, takes him home, and that's when Gore attacks. Because the key is in New Asgard now. This one, we just get New Asgard's getting attacked, and Thor just somehow shows up after Lady Sif is... No,
I agree. Like I said, they just missed Gore. Like, you can see, I think in the shadows, I don't think Thor should have noticed, but we notice. It's subtle. But the shadows grow dimmer as Thor approaches maybe Falalar or whatever his name is.
Oh, the giant god.
The giant thing. I think Falalar is a character in Stormlight. I think he's one of the scholars. Anyway, that god, the big colossal god, his shadow should shrink from being extremely long back out into normal as Thor comes in.
So it makes us, like, we as the audience kind of notice it, and
we
might notice it, but he's more focused on Lady Sif. Because again, Lady Sif, the scene, like, could have said that. Oh my gosh, not the stupid CGI helmet. Anyway, sorry, it's going on in the background, folks, so we have to sit here and watch it in silence while Tim is on a different.
Again, the Korg narration is terrible.
Let me tell you about how Thor and Jane completely fell apart, and it's like, stop. Yeah. I don't care. I don't want Korg. Anyway, I can't say what I want because that's Tim right now. I am ready to rip it. Oh my gosh.
I think. I don't think Thor should meet Jane until after the battle. I think he sees flashes of blue and maybe some lightning off in the distance.
He might think it's him.
He's focused on kids. He's focused on the kids getting kidnapped.
So kids are still getting kidnapped in your pitch.
I think he shows up. He talks to King Valkyrie. Valkyrie's like, there's probably something you should see. And then a scream. And then Valkyrie's like, hold that thought. And then they go and check it out and they find the monsters attacking. And Gore is off in the distance.
So you don't want Gore and Thor to meet until...
Not yet.
Oh, so they aren't... Like, he isn't saying a word to Thor yet.
Not yet.
Okay. I like that.
I think Gore is off in the distance watching. Thor might notice him, but he's too busy trying to take care of the kid that just screamed. Right? I think there should be a monster running around with one of the kids in hand, and Thor throws Stormbreaker, kills the creature, catches the kid, and hands him to Valkyrie and says, take care of the kids. I've got this. And then he fights these creatures, right? And maybe he can make some dumb joke in the middle, like during the conversation with Valkyrie or something.
Yeah, because they're just witty. It's witty banter, but it's like
it's Thor. Like he's a funny guy when the moment presents itself.
because even in the first Thor, second Thor, Avengers, he was, and even in Age of Ultron, he kind of had this ditzy but yet thorough way of talking, and he was just because like one of my favorite lines from Thor was in Avengers. He's like, "You are all so petty and tiny." Like it just that kind of humor. He is this old god, but to him he's not that old. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't like how Thor became a joke.
No, I agree. Thor has one of the most depressing stories out of everybody.
I can't think of a Marvel character who's had it worse.
And
even if you're like, Tony got to sleep.
Tony did get to sleep.
Tony's resting. Leave him alone. You know what I mean? If Tony was still alive and suffering and crippled, then I'd be like, yeah, Tony might be a little. But no, Thor is the tragic hero of Marvel.
His like we said before, Thor's family was killed. Most of them right in front of him.
His friends,
his family, his chosen family with the Avengers, right? Like the people he cares about have died. And anyway, he should not have become the joke. He could make some witty jokes. He could speak the way he speaks, kind of the arrogant way that he speaks. Could be funny. But I think this particular scene where the kid is being kidnapped and Thor saves this kid should show the real Thor who cares about people, who is a hero. And I think Gore should turn around and be like, yeah, nice try. And he should show up, kick Valkyrie out of the way, maybe appear between Valkyrie and the kid through the shadows, kick Valkyrie to the side, the kid screams, Thor, and then vanishes into the shadows. And Thor should be leaping and barely miss, and
because right now,
and then the following scene should be this right now. The scene we're watching right now is the monsters kidnapping the kids and putting them in the cage.
I think the idea of them being able to be taken into the shadows would have been
better.
Oh yeah, because right now, gone, they disappear with the kids. Why can't all the kids just disappear? Like, the thing is, the Asgardians were warriors. We saw them attacking the creatures. If that's the case, he didn't have to make that scene. If Gore wanted to be like, your kids are mine. Like, they could have just been like...
I think they could have gathered all of the kids together, protecting them, with soldiers all around them, and then Gore, from the shadows, says, thanks for doing my job for me, appears in the middle of the kids, kills the guards, grabs the kids, all of them, in a shadow, and vanishes.
Okay, because the Necrosword probably has to be the thing that disappears. But I think that scene...
I think at that point, Thor could have seen, oh freak, he has the Necrosword.
And then we could have gotten a little bit of explanation about it from Thor, because he even said, okay, but that scene with the kid just going, Thor, and just... Because again, he is the hero of Asgard. And these should be the Asgardians. They should be old. Like, these are like ancient folks who have, and there's a joke, someone makes a joke in here, like, half of our soldiers are dead. Half of our soldiers are always dead. And I'm like, I don't know if the director was making fun of Infinity War. And I get that. I don't know if he was just, honestly, I feel like he was just mad that the Russo brothers made his, like, took his work and built upon it. And I think he was upset, and he decided to do his own thing and just, what's it called? It starts with an R when you, retcon? When you, like, rewrite something, you just retcon something, you just rewrite it.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's what he just did. Like, all the hard work the Russo brothers did for Thor. Well, and the thing is, the Russo brothers did the gamble to make him fat. And yet that still worked, even though it wasn't my favorite thing. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
So kids get taken by
Kids
gore.
get taken by gore, and then a council is being held. I think Valkyrie being king is awesome. It's cool. It's a cool concept.
I loved it.
It's a good idea.
She's a great king.
Agreed.
The thing is, I don't think she would have made these. I don't think she would have made New Asgard tourist attraction because she ran away. I don't know, unless they're trying to say she's just this greedy. But that means she would be falling back to her ways on Ragnarok when she just didn't care. And that's what bugs me.
Yeah.
Is she's once again this person that doesn't care, but she really, I don't know. She had to pick up Thor's slack, and for her to be like, I'm going to make a tourist attraction. I'm going to put the Infinity Gauntlet, the thing that caused the whole galaxy so much pain and suffering, I'm going to make an ice cream come about it. I'm sorry, you don't see us making swastika pretzels. Like, you don't, you know what I mean?
No, we don't.
Like, and I know, like, well, everyone came back. We can joke about it. But was everyone the same? That was 5 years where your family was gone. I would never joke about the Infinity Gauntlet.
No, well, and here's the thing. In Spider-Man No Way Home, the kids are talking about the blip like it's a it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they came back 5 years later, great, but they
have younger siblings older than them.
Exactly.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. I think a council is held. King Valkyrie grabs Thor, Korg. I think Korg should be a little bit more serious than he is, but grabs Korg and a mysterious helmed figure that looks like Thor. Off in the corner that doesn't say anything. Thor nods, doesn't know what to do, know what to say, doesn't care.
Because it could just be another warrior.
Kids have been taken. That's his main priority. He doesn't notice Mjolnir on the floor behind her. Right? All he sees is the figure dressed like him. The cape could be covering the hammer, whatever. They start it. He's like, the kids have been taken. What do we do? What is our plan? How can we tackle this? He has the Necrosword. Jane then walks forward, takes off her helmet, and says, what is the Necrosword? And then it could pan back. They could pan to black. Maybe Thor could do his...
Jane?
What?
Jane?
And then it shifts over to the kids. The whole Axel being able to pull Thor into the vision, I think it's dumb.
I was really shocked Heimdall had a kid.
I was also shocked Heimdall had a kid.
Heimdall is the guardian of the Bifrost. He's the seer of all. Why on earth does he have a son who is this young? When again, the Asgardians are not humans like us. And the thing is, they age, but they're not going to. They don't look like this when they're 100.
No.
And you're telling me that this boy was a baby when if they're supposed to be normal humans, you're telling me this boy was super little when his dad died, and his dad in the third movie abandoned him and took the sword to protect. No, I don't think Heimdall had a son.
Agreed. I think the whole Axel Astrid thing, we can scrap it. Again, this is our pitch. This is my pitch, really. Our ideas, our thoughts.
I just think it made no sense.
It didn't make any sense.
Having a son.
It didn't make any sense. I think instead we have the vision pan, or we have the scene pan over to the kids. They're freaking out, and Gore can tell them the story about his daughter. I had a daughter like you once. She was brave, smart, loved to draw, and maybe he can get a little bit teary. And then he explains, but the gods let me down, and she died. Or she died, and the gods did nothing. Where are your gods now? And then it can pan back to Thor and Jane, and Thor can be like, let me get this straight. You can wield Mjolnir. You have my powers. You were that blue flash in the distance. And then Jane can be like, yeah, that was me. That's what's going on.
Because that's what Valkyrie wanted to show him.
And Valkyrie could be like, yeah. And then Korg could be like, this is where Korg could have his moment. Korg could be like, okay, nice catching up. What about the kids?
Because he would care.
He would care about the kids.
Because he's been taking... Because he grew up on New Asgard with some of those kids, and he is a gentle rock giant. He's like, okay, that's very nice. What about the kids? Like, just right off the bat is just trying to...
Exactly. And then they could focus, and Thor could say something, could explain what the Necrosword is.
She's wearing a Phantom of the Opera shirt. That's awesome. Sorry.
That is actually
I didn't
pretty
even realize that.
I think Thor explains what the Necrosword is, where it came from, and where the Necrosword likes to dwell. I think the Necrosword is sentient. Obviously, it spoke to Gore at the beginning of the movie.
It's an evil Mjolnir.
It is an evil Mjolnir, except Mjolnir and Stormbreaker should not be sentient.
They should not be. Oh gosh,
should not be responding
weird
to
love triangle crap. Oh.
Dumb. I think the whole Stormbreaker being jealous of Mjolnir is BS.
When it floated over, like I saw, that was when I was starting to get worried for this movie. I saw a trailer and it showed me Stormbreaker float over, and I'm like, okay, first off, Stormbreaker is just...
Stormbreaker's a weapon of mass destruction that can be called...
It was made to kill Thanos. That was it.
It was made to kill Thanos.
And summon the Bifrost.
Exactly.
Which is why Gorg wants it. Gore wants it because that's the key to get rid of it.
Yeah. I think Korg says, what about the kids? And then, again, Thor explains what the Necrosword is and says, because it's a sentient being, it has a favorite place. Its favorite place is the Shadow Realm. Or the dark realm or something like that, whatever it was called. The Shadow World. Right? And I think then Jane could be like, okay, well, let's go. And Valkyrie could be like, okay, meet at the docks in 30 minutes. And we're going.
And it would be all like, and I would love that because she's like taking charge because she feels great because she's the mighty Thor now, and she's like, all right, everyone, 30 minutes, like just to like show like Thor is sitting here watching, but Jane is now have the title of the mighty Thor. She has comment, and Jane's not an idiot. She is a cynical scientist who, became a wielder of magic. Mm-hmm. Doctor Strange, a man of science, wielded magic. I believe that those with a cynical mind or cynical and technical mindset who embrace the powers of the universe, whatever, those are the ones who are going to have the best control. Those are the ones who can become in tune with...
Because they understand that magic and science...
Go hand in hand.
Just
like Thor said in the first movie.
I think then we could have the whole scene where with Jane breaking the sink, Valkyrie checking up on her. Oh. Right. Because they're best friends now, right? They're two girls that have had to deal with Thor. They've gone through a lot.
Because Thor did let Valkyrie down, and we're not meaning like Thor and Valkyrie dated.
No.
We mean like he abandoned, like he was a shut-in, and Valkyrie had to take care of all that crap. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right. Like Thor let these two women down. Sorry, because that was something that I was like, yeah, they both can relate. Because Thor's kind of stupid sometimes when it comes to letting. Anyway,
agreed. I think they have this moment, and sorry, back up. I forgot about Omnipotent City.
Omnipotent City, huh?
Instead of... Sorry, I'm backtracking on what my thing is. instead of Thor knowing where sentient weapon likes to dwell, he knows that other gods have sentient weapons that have favorite places to dwell, and they would understand where the Necrosword would be. And that's why they go to Omnipotent City, maybe to even get...
Or even just get advice.
Advice from Zeus, the king of the gods, who has Thunderbolt, a sentient weapon, maybe. Doesn't have to be sentient. I think it could be fun if it was sentient.
I think just maybe... I'm not giving him my pitch, folks. I'm just giving him suggestions, because this is his pitch. We also are good for editing each other's. You know, what about, do they still want an army? Because Gore summoned an army.
Yeah. Gore summoned a big army.
And honestly, and the thing is, the Necroblade, as we see in this movie, Odin knows, not Odin, sorry, one of the thunder gods, Zeus knows what it was. A lot of the gods probably know what this sword is, because it kills gods. So, Zeus probably does know. They probably want advice from it. And honestly, all the other gods are probably scared, so...
Agreed.
A smart place would be, we need to go talk with the gods. A safe haven.
A safe haven where the gods would be, and they would understand how to help the kids.
But we're going to have to explain to little kids what an orgy is. So, yeah, that was a great scene.
That was great. Yeah, no. Get rid of that whole throne room scene. The entire thing. Get rid of it. It's gone. Bye-bye. Kill it with fire.
Burn it. Like the thing. Burn it.
Omnipotent City should be how Thor finds out where the kids are and how to get there.
Because there probably could be a god that could find it. A god that is a lot like Heimdall. Because a lot of the gods throughout human history, they're just different versions of each other throughout
Think of Apollo.
Yeah.
Apollo is the god of oracles.
Yeah. He probably could have found the kids. He probably could have been like, he's like, you know, he could have said, oh, I knew of Heimdall, and he's like, I can help you. And he does the same thing Heimdall did. That would have been a better thing than his son.
That would have been good.
Like, you use a different god. Actually have the gods help. But, you know, gods don't like interfering in others' business. And, again, gods are selfish. So, I'm okay with them helping it, but I definitely could also see them going, you got this, Boo Bear. You go.
Yeah.
You got this.
I agree. And I think the whole Zeus thing, I think instead of giving Thor Thunderbolt, there's a deleted scene. Have you seen the deleted scene?
Yeah, we've talked
about this. There's a deleted scene, for those of you who haven't seen it, where Zeus is showing Thor how to use Thunderbolt. He's being helpful. Right? That is the Zeus that we would get. He is the king of the gods. He cares about his kind. He's going to help those who are brave enough and willing to go. He's going to help them, I think, take on this evil, right? And I feel like Zeus would give Thor advice on lightning itself, channeling it, maybe create his own weapon out of lightning, create his own Thunderbolt.
Well, what bugs me is
could be kind of cool.
In the third movie,
his whole thing is you don't need a weapon.
Hammer. The only reason he made Stormbreaker was to kill Thanos, who is a mad titan or a god.
He is basically a god.
He is a god. Like
he is a god after he gets the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, after he gets Infinity Stones, and that thing was made to kill gods. Like, I think Stormbreaker, when he walked in with Stormbreaker, all the other gods should have sensed, like, hey, we don't like that thing in here.
Yeah.
Mjolnir can kill gods, but the Necrosword, it erases them.
Yeah. I think
Russell Crowe, man.
He could have that conversation with Zeus. Like, Zeus, we're going after the God Butcher. we're going to kill him. We're going to eliminate that sword. We're going to stop him from killing other gods. And Zeus can be like, you'd better hurry. He's on his way to eternity. And that could set in. Jane could ask, what's eternity?
Because Zeus would know.
Zeus would know.
They should have not made him this. And I understand. Zeus was not a good.
In mythology, he's not a good guy.
But he is all powerful and all knowing.
Yeah.
And when they come to him, it's like, the gods have talked. We know where he's going. Yeah.
I think he could have said, I cannot supply an army because an army would be like taking the lamb to the slaughter, right? But I will give you advice. I will show you how to better harness your lightning. And my son, Apollo, can find out where they are, where the kids are, where he is, and you can go. And I am willing to send one of my sons. And it could have been that then we could get Hercules or whatever god, right? It doesn't have to be Zeus's son. It could be some other totally random god from another pantheon.
I want to see Hercules. Well, or is it never mind.
You're not going to want to see Hercules.
Okay.
That's the thing.
That's what I was about to ask. I'm like, wait a
And
minute.
those of you who know what's coming, just hold your horses. It'll happen. But Zeus will offer the aid of another god. That god will be willing, and they will come with. And they'll go. I think that would have been a much better play on Zeus and Omnipotent City and all of that. I love the fact that the goats are pulling the boat using Stormbreakers.
That would have been funny to have a single scream in there. Fine.
A single scream as they crashed into Omnipotent City.
Yeah.
That's fine. The incessant screaming needs to go. I can't promise that I'm done saying that.
I would have liked to see muffle scream, and you're like, and then and you're like, yay! And see,
Doppler effect scream,
and that's fine.
That's fine. It's,
but just
every now and again, it cannot be every time the goats are on screen. A scream. That's no.
Because really, goats don't. Goats are hilarious.
Goats are hilarious. There's not all goats scream.
No, most of them make that. And they're just weird. I lived with goats.
I helped tend to goats for a while. Anyway, I think Zeus could send them off. Good luck. Do not lead him here. Or do not lead him to the gods. Do not let him kill any other gods. Something to that effect. And then they go. The next scene where the awkward Jane and I think Korg gets left behind. 100% Korg gets left behind. In New Asgard.
Oh, in New Asgard.
In New Asgard, he gets left behind.
Oh, okay. And there's Chris Hemsworth butt cheeks.
Yeah.
I love how the guards also want to pass out.
Rip
Loki.
I didn't like that scene.
You didn't like to see his glorious butt? We all knew the eye candy was there for everyone. Just kidding.
No. Anyway, Korg gets left behind in New Asgard. Instead, it's Hercules, or whatever this other god is. I'm gonna call the god Bob for now, just as a placeholder. Bob and Valkyrie can have the conversation with, Valkyrie, Jane have the whole kind of, you should go talk to him, as Thor is out kind of hand on Stormbreaker, worried about the kids and worried about the future of all the gods. And then Jane can go have that conversation. I think that whole conversation the whole scene where Jane explains that she has cancer, it's basically perfect, in my opinion.
Except for Korg singing.
Except for Korg singing. Get rid of Korg singing. I think instead of Korg singing, obviously we have Bob, we have Valkyrie, and Bob can be like, is what happened between them. Then we can get Valkyrie explaining they were in love, then work got between them and life, and she left a note. And
she's telling this to the other god.
She's telling this to the other god.
Okay.
Bob.
I like
Bob. She is explaining this to Bob. And then and then ending up with the kiss, right, between Thor and Jane. It's cliche, but it fits. It's good. Right? They fall back in love. Now that work can't get between them, they're like, this could work.
Oh.
Kind of thing.
What?
Though Jane still knows that she's going to die, Thor knows she's going to die. His goal for eternity is to save Jane.
Oh, he wants that. He's going to try to make... He's going to make the wish?
He could have the thought, an image could flash through his head, a scene flash, right? And it could be Zeus, panning back to Zeus. Whoever gets to eternity first can make the wish. And then the next scene could be a repetition of what Jane had just said. I have cancer.
And he wants to get
rid of cancer.
Because only eternity is really going to get rid of stage 4.
Stage 4 cancer.
Stage 4 cancer, and it's a joke.
She's already dead. She's practically dead at this point.
And I apologize to anyone listening who have lost family to stage or any cancer at all. I think that's why this movie kind of bugs me. Is how kind of silly it makes it. It's like, for anyone who went to that movie, like, and of course, like, we've seen Jane's story. They do a great depiction of what it looks like on the human body and how she feels, but yet it was overcast by how lighthearted.
Agreed.
The movie was.
Agreed. And I think that's where this could come into play. Thor is like, I could save you. We just have to beat Gore. And Jane is like, huh? And Thor is like, never mind, I'll explain later.
Okay.
And he can be the one that says, I think we're here. And then he calls back instead of Korg saying, instead of Valkyrie interrupting the kiss, Thor turns to Valkyrie and Bob and says, hey, we're here, get ready.
And the whole screen just goes.
Then the whole screen goes.
Black and white.
It can fade from the front of the ship through to the back.
Okay, random pause. Absolutely loved the Shadow Realm.
Agreed.
Loved it. Loved the whole scene. Loved how he insulted each of them. Like, I loved like that. And again, though, we are on this roller coaster of this seriousness, and I'm like, wow, I feel it. I feel Gore. He is terrifying.
But yeah, I think I agree. The whole thing, the whole scene where they are in the dark world, right? In the shadow world. This is where Bob dies. You all knew it was coming. You all saw it was coming. They land. And the voice of Gore can say, you brought another one. You brought me another plaything. And he can appear behind Bob, stab Bob. Bob can be like, avenge me. And then he crumbles into a golden shower of ichor and divinity. That's because here's the thing. Gore is the god butcher. Why don't we see him kill more gods?
And why are they butchering gods in the middle of an impotent city? Like, they're like, oh, we don't want them to kill gods. It's like, well, Thor's just doing that with random swords and stuff.
I'd rather see it here in the dark, in the shadow world. And then the next bits where Gore is insulting them and relating to them. That's the whole thing that got me. It was like, ooh, a goosebumps. He's relating to them. You're sick. I'm sick. I'm dying. You're dying.
You're not a believer.
You
I'm
lost.
not a believer.
You lost your family. You lost the people you love. I lost the people I love. And I think that whole scene where they have the epic fight and Thor loses his grip on Stormbreaker, it's perfect. That should be how Gore gets Stormbreaker. And here's a bit of trivia for all of you guys. Stormbreaker does not have the same rules as Mjolnir.
No.
You don't have to be worthy to wield Stormbreaker.
The only reason Mjolnir is like that is
because Odin made it that way in the first Thor movie.
And that technically
for
right.
Thor.
That's the very first time he ever does it. Whoever holds his hammer, whoever shall be worthy, will possess the power of Thor.
Whoever shall hold this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the powers of Thor.
And that is how that was important. So Thor probably had that weapon his whole life, blah, 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 blah. And Odin took it.
Yeah.
Because he says, people might hate on the first movie, but that scene, I watch that scene every now and then.
I like the first Thor movie. Because it gives us a good insight into who Thor really is.
Like, the scene of just, again, I will try, I've turned that scene on, whether it be YouTube or now Disney Plus. I will go find it, and it's just the scene where Odin goes, I take from you your hammer, I take from you
your dignity,
I revoke you of all your titles, and I, Odin's son, and I, Odin, cast you out, and just bam, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That, from that point on, Mjolnir became blessed to be
wielded by whoever is worthy. Stormbreaker is not the same. Stormbreaker, like we keep saying,
if Odin touched it, it would have.
Yeah, that's true, but he didn't. Stormbreaker is all about killing gods. Basically, it was built for killing Thanos, and that did its job perfectly. Except for when he didn't aim for the head.
That's too soon.
Too soon. But yes, I think at this point, Mjolnir is unable to do its job fully to keep Jane alive. Jane is dying. I think they make it home. They make it back to Asgard, New Asgard, without Stormbreaker. Jane is dying, and she can't pick up the hammer. She's just too weak.
Oh.
I think she is too weak to make it to the hammer. And then we have the hospital scene and that. I think that's good. I like that because that shows how serious this cancer really is.
The idea, she's like, I can't lift it. I'm not worthy. And it's like, no, you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Right? And then Valkyrie, definitely think Valkyrie could have gotten stabbed. Not by the Necrosword, because that would have killed her. But maybe by a tendril of darkness.
She does get stabbed.
She does get stabbed. No, she gets stabbed by Thunderbolt.
Oh!
She gets stabbed by Thunderbolt.
Okay.
I don't think they should have Thunderbolt.
You think that you
I think Thor should create his own.
Oh.
Right? He has the power of lightning. He is the god of thunder. His powers revolve around lightning. I think he should create his own. Maybe it wouldn't be exactly the same as Thunderbolt.
Maybe Zeus could have blessed him with it.
Maybe.
And said, anyone can. Because just like the lead scene.
Anyone can do
Try
it.
it, Thunder God. Boof, and then it's blue.
I like that.
Ooh, I like that. That was not part of my...
I think it could be...
part of my pitch.
I think it could be... He could use it as more like a whip.
Oh.
You know, like Balrog style in Lord of the Rings, right? Okay. He has the fire whip. I think that it could be that, but lightning. It's not his traditional heavy weapon.
No.
But it is his power.
just like how it was supposed to be in the third movie.
Bingo.
Like,
right? I think
he became dependent on it through his depression phase. And, I think Zeus should have become like a father figure at some point. Like, just talking to him. Again, I didn't really focus.
I think it could be
He sits
Thor
down
has a
and is
flashback to Odin walking towards him, and then it pans into Zeus walking towards him.
Oh
like,
my gosh! That would have been awesome. Like, while he's there, he's like, Father, and then it's like, no, but I do miss him. And you're like, oh.
That would be good.
That would have been good.
Uh-huh. Again, I don't like the Zeus in this movie.
But the thing is, Omnipotent City, you need to show the selfishness of gods. There has to be some degree.
Agreed.
The thing is, we did see that with Odin. Odin had bad moments. We saw that with Hela. Mm-hmm. Gods make mistakes because
I think Zeus's whole reasoning for not going with, not supplying the army is we preserve our own. If we cease to exist, everything is gone.
Sorry, we're at the Shadow World part.
Right this is a good fight. It looks
so good.
It is a good fight.
But again, they just wasted Christian Bale.
Agreed.
He should have been in here way more. His presence, like every scene with Christian Bale, I don't hate.
No.
I think I do have a little bit when he's very charismatic with the kids. And he's like, oh, here's Charlie. And his head fell off. Like, I feel like he should have been like, even though he doesn't like gods, and even though Asgardians are kind of gods,
he should have
been a dad.
Yeah, he is a father. Like, his whole reasoning for doing this is because he is a dad, because he lost his daughter. Right? Thor goes off without Valkyrie, without Jane. Jane is recovering. Valkyrie's recovering, and Thor takes his goats and flies to eternity.
Because that's what the goats were for.
Right? And he can realize, oh wait, I don't actually need the Bifrost for the goats. That's a whole, like, the goats fly in mythology, right? So why can't they fly here? Anyway, I think that's how that should be. They don't need the Bifrost to fly. I do like the idea of them pulling the ship. He makes it to eternity, right? I like the scene. I like the initial scene where Gore makes it to eternity. The gates to eternity are building themselves. I like that scene. I like it. I'm using that in Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I'm using that.
Well, now everyone knows you're a nerd.
I am a nerd. We're both nerds. Yes, that's why we're doing this podcast.
You're absolutely right. 100%.
Anyway, I love that scene. I think keep the kids in the cage. Keep them terrified. Thor shows up and he's already too late. I think he's already too late. The gate to eternity is open. Gore hasn't gone through yet, though. He's walking towards it. I think Thor rushes him, uses the whip, grabs Stormbreaker with it, and smacks Gore away from the door. Throws the axe to the kids. One of the kids picks it up. Thor says, Stormbreaker, take them home.
Summon the Bifrost.
Or yes. Stormbreaker, summon the Bifrost. Take them home. And then the kids vanish with Stormbreaker. And then Thor is using his lightning whip. Right? And he can use Force Lightning. Right? Force Lightning. Like Emperor Palpatine. Right? Unlimited power. And then I think at that point, Jane and Valkyrie are having a conversation, and they're both like, he just left without us again. He ditched us again. We can't stand for this. Excuse me. And then I think Jane could be like, well, I probably won't make it, I probably won't make it much longer, but I could go help. And Valkyrie says, are you sure? Kind of with a tear coming down her eye, or out of her eye.
Because again, they've become friends.
They've become sisters, right? Jane Foster at this point has become one of the Valkyrie in the eyes of Valkyrie.
She became an Asgardian.
Right?
She became the mighty Thor.
And now she's losing another sister. And so she's sad, but she understands that it needs to be done.
Can I just say how much I hated how she's like, well, I'll probably die if I go, so peace be with you. Like, just you go.
No,
and
I think it should be
she should have
Mjolnir
been, like,
will
in a bed. Like,
Mjolnir will
I'm
give you the
out.
strength to go. I cannot go with you though.
Because she got
stabbed.
by
I think she's quote unquote paralyzed. I don't think she's permanently paralyzed, but I think
at that moment,
getting stabbed,
like,
she is unable to move anything below the stab wound. And because it's New Asgard, they have healing and all that, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, Thor, pan back to the fight with Thor and Gore. Gore is just trying to make it through the door at this point.
Thor trying to make it through?
Thor is trying to keep Gore away from the door.
Okay.
And
they're not
because
doing,
he's
like,
a little
a
too far
race?
away.
Okay.
He's too far away. He's trying to pull Gore in towards himself so he can finish Gore off.
Okay. So he's not taking because I was kind of thinking how you were doing. I thought you were going to go like selfish route, and Gore and Thor are just like,
no,
me first.
That could be good, but I don't think it would fit.
Okay.
I think that's happening. Gore is finally fed up with Thor pulling on him with the whip. He lunges at Thor with the blade, and he is going to kill Thor until Mjolnir snaps the blade.
Just goes straight down.
At that point, that's the blade snap. The tip of the blade plunges into the ground. Little tendrils of blackness can come off of it. It starts to fall to pieces, and Gore is thrown backwards. Thor is thrown a little backwards, and Jane comes in and says, and looks back at Thor and says, "I'm sorry." And then throws the hammer at Gore, hits Gore in the face, knocks him back, whatever, and knocks him through the gate, through the door.
Oh.
And then she's like, "Oh no."
Oh no.
And so, and Gore looks up and he's through the gate and he's like, and then he's scrambling. And at this point, Necrosword is fading. And I feel like the gate to eternity would have more than just a gate opened by the Bifrost. I think there would be guards. I think corpse of maybe a celestial, like Galactus, could be floating off in the distance. Gore has killed this guard.
Oh,
already.
Gore's already killed it. Gore's
already killed it.
Oh my gosh.
Because we see the statues along this are celestials. We see the face of one of these statues fall, almost kill the kids in the actual movie, and it looks like Galactus, but with green eyes instead of purple. That's what I feel like should have been guarding this door. Anyway, Gore makes it through. He's at eternity. Thor comes in carrying Jane because the hammer has gone through the gate. And she can't summon it back because it's in another plane of existence, maybe. Right? And I think at this point, Thor is like, "Gore, please. I know the gods have failed. We have failed. But is this really what your daughter would have wanted?" And Gore could bite back, spit at him, and say, "What would you know of caring for a daughter?" And Thor could say, "I don't, but I wanted kids to know." And Jane could look at him, have kind of had the sad face as she's dying,
like the look of regret,
and have kind of that final scene, right? Like, I like the final scene where Thor is like, "If I'm gonna die, I might as well spend my last few moments with the woman I love. I choose love," right? And then Gore can have his moment and be like, "Well, what do you suggest? What else could I wish for? If I can't have love, I have to have revenge. But if I can't have revenge, what do I have?" And then Thor could say something to the effect of, you could wish, let me pull up the note because I think I worded this. The wish maybe not be that just the daughter comes back, but be that Jane and Thor have the chance to raise her as their own together.
Oh.
Right? Because that would give Jane her thing, her moment of, okay,
I wish my daughter
be
to have loving parents. And then
parents.
Yeah, parents.
Too. And then it could be Jane is cured. He says, I can't be that father, but you can. Makes the wish. She appears. That final scene happens. Jane doesn't die and go to Valhalla. No, she's revived.
So you think the mighty Thor should still live?
Agreed. Yes. The mighty Thor is an amazing idea, and the fact that she's there for 2 hours,
we haven't seen her in years, and
she just dies, right? Like, I want to see more. I want to see more of what the mighty Thor can do.
Oh, like that would have been amazing, like,
right?
I wish for my daughter to have
loving parents that can raise her the way I never could,
and just looks at them. Be those parents.
Be those parents, and then
Infinity looks at.
Then we
Jane.
could have.
Oh, I love it! I love that. I think Jane should have lived.
Agreed.
Honestly, I'll spoilers. I didn't. Jane. I still kept the. I think I like that way more, but I don't want to change it. But like, this part right here though, like, Thor's getting beat to crap, and the connection between him and Jane shows, because they're
in
Thor.
love. They're both Thor.
And Mjolnir's like, let's go. Like,
let's do this.
Again though, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker should not have been sentient like this.
No, I think
it should have been the ringing in the ears, and it shows. Because Thor is still...
I think it could be Mjolnir speaks to Jane again. And Jane says, I know what I have to do. Oh. Looks to Valkyrie. They have their moment. Whatever comes, saves Thor. And then we can have our ending instead of...
So you don't want the kids getting superpowers?
No. That was stupid. I'm sorry, but that was so stupid.
I mean, I do get what they were trying to say, that Thor is like the All-Father and he could have bestowed it, but like, it was like, he's not...
They pushed it too far.
Thor is not... I'm sorry, but this Thor is not worthy to be an All-Father.
No.
And he already lost an eye, which again, I think his eyes are the same color in this movie, so that's...
They're not supposed to be.
They're not supposed to be.
But,
I think they should have kept the eye patch, but whatever.
I agree.
And see, like, the whip right there, she used the whip, and I'm like, that would have been awesome.
I think the final scene, right, the outro, could be Gore appears in Valhalla and stands, and Heimdall comes to him and says, you've committed some atrocities, and you cannot enter the gates of Valhalla, but I will give you this chance to watch with me as your daughter grows up.
You will become a watcher.
You'll become a watcher.
Oh.
And Gore can nod, and maybe his skin can turn from gray to white, more celestially, right? And then you have that scene, because that's an end credit scene. But I think the end scene, right, where Thor and we never get the girl's name.
Just his daughter.
I think
it's actually you know that's Chris Hemsworth's daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. That scene, instead of having that and have her holding freaking Stormbreaker. Like, Stormbreaker's 3 times as big as the girl.
Yeah.
For one, I think she wields Mjolnir. Jane stays back, tending to the people with Stormbreaker, and Thor goes out with his lightning whip, or maybe he has his own hammer made of lightning or something like that.
Or he just has Mjolnir.
Because
he should have it. Actually, no. Jane.
No,
Jane should still have Mjolnir.
I want the daughter to have Mjolnir.
But she's not worthy. I don't care if she's Infinity.
That's fair. I think I still like the idea of her wielding Mjolnir because it would show that she is the daughter of Thor and Jane. At this point.
And the thing is, Thor and Jane do have... Well, not... Sorry. Thor and Sif do have a daughter together, so I think it would be cool in this world that Jane and Thor adopt that. And I think that would be a good ending for Thor at the moment. He becomes a dad with the woman he loved, and it's like...
Yeah.
I like that. I really had been thinking about, Natalie Portman... Because she came back for this movie, became the Mighty Thor, and then was gone. It's like, no, imagine if this little girl, whose father was a devout man, he loved his God, he's probably a wonderful father. And again, he was a good father. He just hated the gods. And I personally, I'm not throwing my pitch, but I think that he probably killed very selfish gods first.
I agree.
And so for him to appear in Valhalla, because again, Valhalla really isn't picky. It was you had to die in battle.
You had to die in battle.
And the thing is, and technically though, Heimdall didn't die in battle. He died after a battle, and Thanos stabbed him through. He wasn't fighting. That's for another day. That's another issue. What I mean? Like, so it's I do think like. Heimdall, like, you just see him, because that god said to Gore at the beginning, he thinks there's an eternal reward. There isn't for you.
And Heimdall could be like, this is your eternal reward.
Or maybe he doesn't, we don't even see which divinity he goes to. What if we just see him go, and he goes, what is this? And this little, like, still small voice, maybe his daughter's voice, just goes, eternal reward. And then he just walks off. And
I like that.
So like something different.
I like that.
It doesn't show a divinity, and it doesn't like step on religious toes, and it doesn't like go, but it just shows him like, just have his peace.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's awesome. And then the final issue that I want to address.
Okay.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh,
the name is terrible.
So what would have you named this movie, Tim? Is your pitch?
My pitch, the one that I have settled for, and my wife agrees.
Okay.
Thor, the God Butcher. It's immediately enticing. The God Butcher. Thor's a god. Is he the one killing the gods? No, his enemy is the God Butcher. Or it could be Thor: Eternal Reward or something like that. That could be good. I don't know. Some ideas. I do not like the name Love and Thunder. It sounds too 80s rock band.
Too 80s. But like this scene right here where Gore is standing before eternity and sees Thor holding Jane. And the thing is, Christian Bale killed it at this role. I wept with Gore. Gore is my favorite part of the movie. The whole 15 minutes with him.
Yes, I agree.
The whole 15 minutes we get.
He is the epitome of a perfect villain.
But they just
didn't.
wasted it.
Yep.
Because the thing is, in my head, when he's not on screen, he's doing awesome stuff.
Agreed. He's off killing gods.
He's off.
He is off being Kratos.
He is. Yeah, he is. I wanted Kratos. Do you not see gods? I am your day of reckoning. Like just. Like he was a devout man. We don't know how much of a devout man he was. Like we don't know if he was like a high priest of that god before, but we know that he was a loving father. He was a man who wanted his daughter to be better. And it was awful because, and one thing I wish would have happened is as soon as he falls into the water, he immediately starts crying. I wish he didn't see a god yet. I wish he just would have started crying immediately, just in tears, because he just got done burying his daughter and he lands in an oasis. How cruel are the gods? And already right then he's like, oh, like
he's in emotional pain, and then that's a kick to the teeth right there. Right.
We don't know how long he's been killing gods. This could be this could be a long time. Like I wish
this could be weeks.
I wish it would be like centuries, because to gods they're, I don't know. Like that might make no sense, but like time is so irrelevant in space, and he could have just been a threat from just building up for centuries and centuries, and he could have been there when, like, Valhalla was not Valhalla.
Valkyrie.
No. They where do they live? Asgard was destroyed. Like it just shows him like, I was there when that was destroyed. Like just showing him like being there and watching for so long. Like Thor was just a little meh. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. That's
because he's supposed to be an ancient villain.
He is. I don't know. Like I like the idea of it building up. It could be, as it pans over to that after that first scene where he kills the god, it pans over to the next scene in that black, right? The black screen that they always have when they split scenes like that. It could be several centuries later.
No, and the thing is that we could see him killing other gods, like certain Mayan gods, because it could be like, oh no, we as humans lose faith in God. No.
We could have
Gore the Butcher kills the gods. That's how we lose faith.
This could be Korg's narration.
Okay,
where he is narrating. Where he's narrating, and it's not funny, but his voice obviously it doesn't fit.
Oh, you said Korg. I thought you said Gore. Okay,
Korg.
We don't want to go.
Gore could also be narrating. That could be even cooler.
Then I'm glad you said that. You'll like mine, and that's to be for next week though.
Yes,
Tim has done an excellent job.
Yes, this is my pitch. That was my pitch.
That was an excellent pitch. So,
and thanks for helping. Like that was a lot of fun, kind of building on ideas I had.
This is how I saw the show. Again, we're going to get more practice, but this is kind of how. And I should have made that more specific for you, because last week all I said was, "Hey Tim, make some notes." But now I'm like, okay, no, Tim, this is what I want. And this one, and I think it would have been. I would have rather watched that movie. The scene, and again, the thing, like the highlight from your show, from your pitch, that I would have just would have ripped me apart was, he's sitting there talking to Valkyrie. They get Lady Sif to the hospital, and they're talking. They hear a scream, and Valkyrie kills the monster, or Thor kills the monster, and he's holding the little child, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Thor!" because he's finally visiting. But then all of a sudden, something rips him out, Thor, and just gone. Because Thor has been seeing so many people die, and just to have that little girl go, Thor, and just disappear.
And we could see images in that moment, Thor wide-eyed, and then memories pop up with all of his friends and family dying.
I honestly don't think we even need that, because Chris Hemsworth probably could have delivered it, but I agree. Yeah. But the thing is, if Chris Hemsworth could have delivered the facial expressions needed of just Thor and just the score goes quiet, the scene goes quiet, and then all of a sudden we start hearing the screams, and we see parents tackling the monsters, because these are Asgard. Okay, really quick though, one gripe I want to add really quick: why in the world were there aliens with Asgard? That's something that bugged me so much.
That bugged me too.
It should have just been the Asgardians.
Because they had just lost their home. Why are they gonna let other people in?
And the thing is, Earth is still not ready for oh, wait a minute. They could have been from the ship from, okay, this might be finally figure out why. They could be some refugees from the third movie. because there were some aliens on
From
that ship.
Ragnarok. Okay.
But there weren't that many, and most of them were just
really
the
weren't.
heroes. No, all of them were just the heroes.
Yeah.
They were just the gladiators, and most of those guys died.
Yeah.
And one of the last ones to die was the butcher guy, the dude, Rider of Rohan dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
What?
was. I can't think of
Shoot, what's his name?
Because he's also called the Butcher because he has a big axe. Him and the Enchantress were a big problem for Thor. They worked with Loki and they caused a lot of grief for the Avengers. And he was just a symbol. And again, that was their take, whatever. But I do, if it would have been me, kind of spoilers for next week. No aliens. It was just the Asgardians, and no. You guys can expect that next week, but just I really like it. I think Jane living. I don't want to add that now because I feel like if I do, people listening go, "Ha, Willem, you're lame." But I'm also like, I kind of might steal that. But I also really, I'll be honest.
I know. Give your pitch, and then we can play with the ending there.
Okay.
Play with some ideas.
I really think like the idea of Gore going, and I think I kind of added. I didn't mean to add too much, but just the idea of Gore going, like he makes the wish, and like and they hear his voice going, "Give my daughter the family she deserves," and like, bam, Jane's healed, and it shows a little girl. Like all of a sudden, Thor's holding Jane and a little girl, and Gore's gone. And the thing is, that might have sucked, and he might not have got to say goodbye. But I don't know. There's so many things that I'm like, this movie could have been. Again, this movie is one of the ones that I was like, I want to make this podcast.
Yeah.
And when Tim said he wanted to do this movie too, I said, it's going to be a two-parter because I've been thinking of stuff for a year.
I've had so many ideas on how to fix it. And now that I'm able to like put it in and then like put my ideas together and then share them with people, it's perfect. It's awesome. I love it.
The thing is, most people, when it comes to pitch movies, you're supposed to have like 2 to 3 people. And the thing is, I think we could make a movie pitch someday, but that's gonna be for down the road.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts, any summaries or anything?
No, I think that Marvel needs to start taking a little bit more care of their characters.
I think that
I think Hollywood needs to take better care of their characters
Absolutely.
in general. I think if they just tweaked it a little bit, they stuck to, again, stick to your tone. I think if they stuck to their tone a little bit better, if they picked a writing style and ran with it, that'd be great.
This is not fishing. I don't want give us some slack and reel us in, give us some slack. I don't want that. I get motion sickness easy. Do not take me on a roller coaster like this. I want unless it's a proper good roller coaster that if we look at think of a good roller coaster. Let's look at the Hannibal from Lagoon.
I was thinking
Cannibal.
I was thinking white roller coaster. Classic. You have your ups and downs, but the entire time you're going quick. Except for the build up at the beginning, right? The build up is anticipation and you can feel it, and it's that, and then the rest of the time you're going pretty quick.
Those action scenes that we get are the ups and downs, and then we have a little bit of lulls to build more story, goes up a little bit, and oh my gosh, this movie was just like you know the Wild Mouse ride at Lagoon?
Yep.
Yeah, and it like turns you back and forth, and you're
I don't want that.
I don't go on that ride. I don't go on that ride. I don't go on the Wicked because I get really bad motion sickness. Because again, I'm like frowning halfway through the Wicked. I'm like, oh, but how I say Hannibal? Cannibal. The build up. You're going up that elevator. For anyone in Utah, you know what I'm talking about. If you've been on the Cannibal, you're going up. The thing opens and you're like, oh, the valley. And you just fall. Like, think of your story writing as a roller coaster. And how do you want your roller coaster to be like? And what bugs? And how we just saw Hercules. Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't want to see Hercules. Because Hercules and Thor are supposed to be friends.
They are supposed to be friends. They're supposed to be really good friends.
There's a comic book issue where Thor is gone. He's passed away. It's in the original Civil War. And Tony makes a clone robot with a fake Mjolnir, and it is messing up people. It's kind of going insane. It kills a different hero because their goal wasn't to kill each other. Their goal was to just bring the people who don't want to sign the Accords, and I forgot what they were called in the comics. But Hercules grabs the fake Mjolnir and goes, "This thing I was never able to hold. You are not Thor Odinson. You are not my friend." And he bashes its head in. And it is one of my favorite, because he's like crying. Because he's like, they're both sons of these great gods, and they both relate to each other so well. One's a demigod, so he looks up to Thor so much. Anyway, so they just... Marvel's been really weird, and now we're just going on super random tangents. So
I think we can probably end it there for today.
I think today is a good time to go. Next time I'll give my pitch. So
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear your ideas, because this, like you said, I've been stewing on this movie since it came out. And I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it.
The thing is, I might have to, I don't want to watch again, but I get to really work on notes. And I'm going to make a promise right here, right now, that I will not have the Jane Foster living ending. I promise, because that's not what my original pitch was. I will keep what I went with, so don't quote me. But again, tune in next week, everyone, because we will be talking about Love and Thunder
Part 2.
again. So Love and Thunder Part 2. More of... It won't be... Oh, I forgot the name I was going to give. I'll tell you all next week. With that being said, well, yeah. See you later, pitches.